All right, let's see how this works. We'll try this. All right, today we're going to be talking about the wheat and the tares. There are still people that think that the tares are going to be gathered first up. They think that is what's going to happen to people that are taken away, I guess. For some reason, they just jump to this and they go, the tares are taken first. The evil people are taken first. Only the good people are left behind. And I'm telling you, there are organizations that live off of this, they feed off of this, and they tell people that you have to save yourself through the tribulation. And they're going to quote verses like the wheat and the tares and say, see, the tares are taken up first. And this confuses a lot of people. You have organizations like FAI that are telling people to suffer through the tribulation because that's just your lot in life. That's what you have to do. They'll say things like, not just them, but other organizations. Andrew Farley, same thing. He'll say things like, you want to be left behind. Think about it for a second. Jesus is coming to take his people, and Andrew Farley is saying, you want to be left behind. You don't want to be taken up by Jesus. You got to understand the mentality here. Why are they doing this? Money. Has to be money. They'll even quote Noah's Ark. They'll even say Noah and his family went through the flood. Through the flood. Therefore, we must go through the tribulation. That's what they're saying. I'm telling you this. I've heard it with my own ears. I've seen their lips. My own two eyes. This is what they're saying. So I am telling you the exact opposite. Why? Because I want to give you comfort. I've been told by people from FAI Studios not to tell lies and not to comfort people. That's what they've said. Do not comfort these people with your words. Think about that for a second, what that means. Because if you go back to Noah's Ark, it's almost like there's organizations, or there was organizations back then, that were trying to teach you how to swim. They were trying to teach you how to scuba dive. They were trying to teach you how to hold your breath, how to swim like Michael Phelps. And that did them zero good when the flood came. Because Noah and his family went into the ark, and the ark went above the earth. Didn't go through the flood. They were safe. They were protected. Once the flood was over, they came back. We're coming back in 7 years. So let's read Matthew 13, because there's only 8 verses in the whole Bible that talk about tares. 8 verses. So let's read those 8 verses, and then you decide if what I'm saying is the truth. I feel like I'm blinded now by this light. All right, verse 24. I literally can't see the text because the light is actually blinding me. All right, it'll come back. Another parable put he forth unto them, saying, the kingdom of heaven is likened unto a man which sowed good seed in his field. But while men slept, his enemy came and sowed tares among the wheat, and went his way. But when the blade was sprung up and brought forth fruit, then appeared the tares also. So the servants of the householder came and said unto him, Sir, didst not thou sow good seed in thy field? From whence then hath it tares? So where did these tares come from? He said unto them, An enemy hath done this. The servant said unto him, What wilt thou then, that we go and gather them up? And he said, Nay, lest while ye gather up the tares, ye root up also the wheat with them. So the servants are saying, should we gather up the tares while this wheat is growing? And the Lord is saying, the master is saying, no, don't. Let them grow both together. I think we can understand that. We're on the same page. Let them both grow at the same time. Why? Because we don't want to accidentally root up the wheat with them. You don't want to mix the wheat with the tares because it's too young. They're both the same right now, and you're going to harm the wheat. You're going to harm the wheat. So you have to wait to an appropriate time for you to take up the tares. Okay? Let both grow together until the harvest. And in the time of harvest I will say to the reapers, Gather ye together first the tares. So it doesn't say take them up. This is where these people are getting this from. They're going, see, the tares are taken first. Okay, well, if you understand anything about crops and how it works, these reapers were going into the field and gathering up the tares. They were bundling them up. So they're like, there's wheat. There's a tare. Okay, rip that out. Throw it down. Here's another one. Here's another one. Rip this tare, rip this tare, rip this tare. And let's bundle them up. Let's bundle them up, all the tares. Okay, so the wheat is left standing. Okay, we're clear on that. The tares are being removed and put into bundles. But the tares are still in the field. They're still there. They haven't been gathered up into the air. They're not taken first. They're gathered together first. Why? So they know where the wheat is. So they gather all the tares, bundle them up, and you know those are tares. Everything left standing is the wheat. So now you can look onto the field and you go, okay, everything left is wheat. We're still on the same page, right? The tares have been bundled up. The harvesters, the reapers have went and grabbed all the tares and bundled them up in the field. So if you're to look at the field, you would see bundles of tares all throughout the field, but you would see the wheat still standing. Still standing. Let's read it again. The servant said unto them, Wilt thou then that we go and gather them up? But he said, Nay, lest while ye gather up the tares, ye root up also the wheat with them. So the goal is not to gather the wheat together with them into these bundles. Let both grow together until the harvest, and in the time of harvest I will say to the reapers, Gather ye together first the tares, and bind them in the bundles to burn them. That's the purpose. Bind them up to burn them. But gather the wheat into my barn. Gather the wheat. So leave the tares in the field. Why? Because we're going to burn them later. We're going to pick them up and we're going to throw them into the lake of fire. But right now, gather the wheat into my barn. If that doesn't say rapture, I don't know what does. You're separating the wheat from the tares. So you go through the whole earth marking that person, going, okay, evil, 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 my son. Okay? Remove the tares, put them off to the side. Evil, 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 evil. All these tares, bundle them up. Leave them behind. Now that we know who is who, now that we know what is what, gather up the wheat. into my barn. Only the wheat. The tares are being left behind for why? For what reason? To be burnt. To be burnt up. So let's go to the tares and explain. This is Jesus explaining it now. Then Jesus sent the multitude away and went into the house, and his disciples came unto him, saying, Declare unto us the parable of the tares of the field. So now his disciples are saying, we demand you to explain this parable that you just said, because they didn't always understand it. But Jesus always answered the parables to them. That was just a rule. If you ask Jesus something, he will answer it to you. He will answer it. He answered them, said unto them, He that soweth the good seed is the Son of Man. The field is the world. The good seed are the children of the kingdom, but the tares are the children of the wicked one. The enemy that sowed them is the devil. The harvest is the end of the world, and the reapers are the angels. As therefore the tares are gathered and burned in the fire, so shall it be in the end of this world. The Son of Man shall send forth his angels, and they shall gather out of his kingdom all things that offend, and them which do iniquity, and shall cast them into a furnace of fire. There shall be wailing and gnashing of teeth. Then shall the righteous shine forth as the sun in the kingdom of their Father. Who has ears to hear, let them hear. So it's interesting that this parable is about the tares. The disciples are asking, what happens to the tares? I want to know what happens to the tares. Didn't say what happened to the wheat, is what happened to the tares. Explain the parable of the tares. As therefore the tares are gathered and burned in the fire, so shall it be in the end of the world. The tares are going to be burned. The wheat are gathered into his barn. The tares are like the end of the world. This is the tribulation. They're going to be burned. There's going to be harm. There's going to be trouble on the tares, not on the people that believe in Jesus Christ. It's right here. He's telling you what the end of the world is going to be like. There's going to be evil people on the world. They shall gather out of his kingdom all things that offend, the which do iniquity, and shall cast them into a furnace of fire. There shall be wailing and gnashing of teeth. Then shall the righteous shine forth as the sun in the kingdom of their Father. Who hath ears to hear, let him hear. So again, Jesus explains it to them, what happens to the tares. We know the wheat goes into the barn. We know the tares are being bundled up and left to be burnt. The wheat is not left to be burnt. It's ridiculous to think the wheat would get harmed, to think that the reapers are going to just slice everything down, wheat and tares, and then light fire to the wheat and the tares. People would starve then. It's ridiculous. I don't know where people come up with this. There's still going to be someone commenting, even after I show you that this parable is about the tares. The wheat get taken up into the barn. They're removed so that the tares could be burnt. And then he gives you the example. The tares are like the end of the world. When you see all these things come about you, all this evil, look up, because you're going to be taken into the barn. And then everyone else, all the evil people that want to do evil, I'm not talking about people that are like wrestling with their thoughts. Does God love me? Does God not love me? Whatever. That's not evil. Evil is going out and doing wicked things, killing people, murdering, rape, stealing, lying, cheating, all this kind of stuff. Those people are going to continue doing what they do best. And if you don't want to be bundled up like a tare, and you don't want to be left behind as the world burns, then believe that Jesus is the Son of God, that he died on the cross, rose again from the grave on the third day, and you will be saved. Pretty clear. Thanks, guys. Hope you got something out of it. Hope that explains the parable of the tares. If it makes sense, feel free to comment. And again, please let me know where you are hailing from. I always like to know where people are commenting from, where people are watching the videos. And thanks again. Don't forget, if you've watched the video this far, please subscribe. Thanks for watching. I'll see you later.